Okay, so this is going to be a quick overview of the FullRank AutoML tooling. So what the tooling does, it takes a data set, in this case the Titanic toy data set, and a target variable, in this case if the passenger survived or not, and tries to look at the variable and it tries to automatically build up a ensemble of hypotheses, basically a large model in terms of predicting whether individual passengers survive or not. So I'm going to start the tooling, and I'm going to describe it as we go. So we'll run it here, and so basically the idea is the tooling looks through all the fields and finds the fields that generates hypotheses based on those fields, competes them against each other, and tries to find one that reduces the error the most, and basically just it adds that to the ensemble, and then takes the residual of that, and then looking at that residual again, try to find the hypothesis that reduces the error again the most, and so on and so forth. So it keeps iterating on that until it can't find essentially any more predictive power for the input variables, and then stops. So let's look at the output. So we can stop it here. We can see the first iteration. It found that sex was or gender was the best predictor, and so if we were to look into this, we'd find that certainly females are more likely to survive than men, and that's what it's predicted. The second thing is fair. So again, if we looked into this, typically what that means is that the more someone paid, then the more likely it is that they survived. Historically, that generally means that the higher fares were the above board cabins, and so it was easier to conceivably to get to lifeboats, and so on. So that's the first iteration, but it goes through many iterations. And the second iteration, again, it took the sex into account, gender of the passenger, took the residual, and then given that, to try to predict the next best thing to predict the survivorship, and that it was again fair. So even taking into account sex, we still found that fair was something that predicted survival. And again, we follow that algorithm, and we account for that, and we then iterate over the data as well. We find that age was the next most predictive thing. And so again, you imagine that elderly people weren't as able to survive as the younger passengers. That's what we expect. Again, we have to look into the hypothesis to see exactly if that was indeed the relationship, but at least the age was a factor. It may be positively, negatively, or it might be a more complex relationship. We can see here that so this is just the different iterations. So the first iteration was just a guess, so that's just basically a coin flip. This is with the gender taken into account, and so on and so forth. So this shows that you have a nice curve where we can see that we're reducing the error, but as we continue onwards, the sort of expressive power, the information in the input variables is slowly being reduced, and so over time this will go to zero. That means the AutoML tooling won't be able to find anything more to kind of squeeze out the input variables, and for each iteration it actually saves the output disk, so you can later retrieve the results and either use them or inspect them with the tooling for a myriad of purposes, but primarily to ensure that the outputs are reasonable. And so that's basically the FullRank AutoML tooling. Thank you for watching.